Vivek Ramaswamy stuns a Christian crowd and they erupt in applause in agreement with him. And in this video, we're going to talk about what he says about Christianity and how that intersects with his faith in Hinduism. My name is Aaron. If you like this type of content, I do Christian commentary on culture. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, subscribe, do all that, and comment down below because I like to continue these conversations along with you. Now, he's going to ask here, where does your eternal soul go when it dies? And Vivek will be able to answer that, and we'll just kind of stop that and continue from there.
What happens to your eternal soul when you die?
I think it rejoins his creator. It's part of his creator. That is what I believe.
Why do you believe that?
What's that?
Why do you believe that?
I believe that because I believe that God resides already in each of us. I think we're all made in the image of God. We are equal. Our equality on this earth is derived from one thing. It is the fact that, not because we made it up and wrote it down on a piece of paper. I love our founding fathers. But they were just writing down what is true in a way that came long before them and is true long after they're gone. Because the reason we are equal on this earth is that we are each made in the image of God. That is what gives us our equality. And I believe we're instruments on this earth. God put us here for a reason. God works through us. It's not being done by me. It's being done through me. It's being done through us. And I think that we're put here for that purpose. And I think that that is what happens even after our role as an instrument is done. We rejoin our Creator. That is what I believe.
Okay, so I'd like to make some distinctions here, because when Vivek talks about we were made in the image of God and God resides in each one of us, it's particularly made in the image of God, that phrase means something entirely different from a Hindu to a Christian, and I like to draw those distinctions out. But first I want to draw the easy one, okay? He says that equality resides in the fact that we are all equally made in the image of God, okay? And so he has this divineness that he attributes to the human soul and human condition. So I've been doing a lot of research into what Hinduism believes, and this is just one of the resources that I pulled up, but this is kind of lays it down pretty distinctively. Right here, I could pull up as a Hindu views the entire universe as gods and everything in the universe as God. Hindus believe that each person is intrinsically divine, and the purpose of life is to seek and realize the divinity within all of us. Okay, so he's saying that, and Hinduism says that each person is divine. Actually, each person is God. Okay, that's a very simplistic way of saying it. They would say divine, but that's what I think I'm grabbing from this, that they believe that each person has God within them, that they are God, and that's just not true for a Christian. That doesn't really compute for a Christian. We are not God. Actually, when we're talking about equality, when we're made in the image of God, a Christian, what that means is that we are like God and unlike God. We have attributes that are communicable and incommunicable. Or let me just give you an example. So like a dog is not made in the image of God. Humans are. Why? Because you could see a human rationalize. They have logic. They have, well, not just logic, but like wisdom. They could contemplate like the mysteries of the universe. Like a dog can't do that kind of stuff, right? Dogs can't just gather around and tell jokes and make each other laugh and make each other feel, right? But humans can do that. You never see a dog contemplate like, okay, where does my food come from? Who am I? Like a dog can't imagine the process of the dog bits popping into its bowl and then, buying that at the store. And then from the store, the manufacturer is driving it in a truck. And then there's a distribution warehouse. And then there's like a manufacturing plant. And then there's a farm. A dog can't think through all of that. There's no rational component, logical component that can get that far. Those thoughts are way beyond a dog's comprehension or ability. And in the same way, humans can't get to God's rationalization or comprehension. So that's why it's not God. We're not God, but we are made in the image of God. So, for instance, we could love and we could feel depression and we could feel all these kinds of things. So it's things that are like God, but not exactly, but unlike things that what else in creation. So there's like a wisdom and that kind of stuff. And we could go into that. I mean, this video is not to dive into what that means. It's just kind of delineating the differences between Hinduism and Christianity. In addition to that, a very important fact that Christians hold to as equalizing everybody is not just that we have equal worth, but equal shame. Or shame's probably the wrong word for a Christian, but sin is the more accurate word. We're all equally sinners in the eyes of God. So that brings us, it's like a dual purpose of equality. Like we're all infinitely valuable because God values us. We're made in his image, and we're all infinitely like sinful, like bad, like we don't, undeserving objects of wrath, as the Bible puts, not me, the Bible. And so those are two very distinct differences on how to draw equality. Now, the end goal is, I guess it's the same, right? Equality, we're all equal. But Hinduism draws it out from us all being God and us all being equally divine, versus Christianity, which says we are made in the image of humans, not specifically humans, not Hindus. Hindus believe everything has the divine in it, but Christianity just believes that humans have the image of God in it. And do I have a book or something? And that we're also equally sinful. So that there's that distinction. Okay, I hope you see that distinction. But I think that's a very important one, because and that's just the facts, right? That's just the rote facts. I still think you could equally see someone else as an equal, as someone of equal worth and equal potential and merit from both sides, from the Hindu camp and from the Christian camp. I myself am from the Christian camp. That's why I speak with more authority and like preciseness with it. However, I think that Vivek is trying to make the Christians feel good a little bit. Like he might be bait and switching that phrase a little bit too much for me, especially now that I understand more about Hinduism. But I do like the way that he answers it, like, hey, we are still so equal. And I especially like where he takes this later in this in the video, and how he takes that to what he believes is going to be doing as the commander-in-chief, not pastor-in-chief. So let's get into that.
I just think that these are taboo conversations. Right? We're not supposed to talk about this in an open, maybe at church on Sunday, maybe at the synagogue, maybe at the temple. But today, I grew up in a generation, I'm part of a generation now where God is a 4-letter word. Imagine if most of us did believe in something bigger than ourselves, God. How about even a nation bigger than ourselves? Do you think we'd be as badly divided today as we are? No, we would not. And it's not an accident that our founding fathers saw it the same way. John Adams, what did he say? Our Constitution was made for a moral people. Right? It's an operating manual, but you need a moral foundation to use the operating manual. And so that's something that I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to single-handedly fix that as the President of the United States. In fact, that's not the main role of the president. I'm running not for pastor-in-chief, but commander-in-chief. But it's important that we embody those values, even in the way that we lead this country. It's important that we fight the war back against the assault on religious liberty in this country. And so my job can't be to create a revival of faith in this country. That's going to have to come from people of a higher pay grade in more important roles than the U.S. president, starting with pastors and parents alike across this country. That is what it's going to take. It's not coming from on high from the White House. But what I can do is to end the quiet Cold War on religious freedom and religious expression, because that is coming from on high, from Washington, D.C., and that much we will put an end to. That is my role to play in this. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay, so two things that I appreciate that Vivek states here. The first one is he's going to ensure religious liberty, and the second one is the faith and moral revival. The first, the religious moral liberty or religious liberty. All I want from the pastor of the United States is to make sure the government is out of my way. That's all I want. Don't get in my finances. Don't get into my schools. Don't get into how I raise my kids. And don't get into how I choose to worship or what I choose to worship. I choose to worship Jesus Christ, right? Jesus Christ. I want to worship Jesus. But if my neighbor wants to worship, wants to attribute it to Hinduism, and then we got a Buddhist over there, and then we got a Muslim over there, stay out of it. Stay as a Christian, as your role as the president or the government. Just make sure that no one is infringing upon my right to live the way I want to live, especially to my Christian values. This religious liberty thing is going crazy and going too far, especially when they start to impress their agenda on my kids. And when I say my kids, I really mean the kids of the nation in the schools. I think that's one aspect. I think there's another aspect where they start doing these things where they're attacking Christian businesses about like wedding cakes, and then another one when they're starting to impress upon these agendas, especially in sports. Look, okay, that's all I want from the president of the commander-in-chief, not the pastor-in-chief. Just keep the government out, right? Don't encroach on my religious freedoms. That's all I want. And give me the stable borders. Give me, as far as, this is not immigration. Give me the stable borders of boundaries, rather, is a better word for my religious liberty. That's really all I want. Do I want you to, give a sermon every Sunday? No, I don't even want that. Would that be cool? Sure, that would be cool. But I understand that wouldn't be representative of everyone in America. But I personally would like that. I mean, that's one of those things. But if you don't do that, I'm not voting for that. You know what I mean? And I'm not too, stupid enough to think, I'm pretty dumb, but I'm not too stupid to think that these other candidates are Christian as well. Maybe they say they're Christian, but there's no reflection of that in their life. So it's this political Christian just to win votes. Okay. All I want is religious in his, for him to ensure religious liberty. That's really all I want. Number 2 is this faith and moral revival. He, I think, accurately says it's not his job to create this moral or faith revival in the world, because morality is in a decline. Rather, it's got to come from the parents and the pastors and all these other people. And I agree. Okay, but one thing we should understand here is that what is happening with the moral decline. Why is that happening? Why is there a moral decline in the United States and maybe around the world? And I think this is at least my one thought, is that for there to be a moral decline, okay, there must be a situation where we could understand what is a moral incline and a moral decline, like what is good and what is bad, okay? If there's a moral decline, like a reduction in morality, we should understand that there is a standard of morality, okay? But I think what's happened now is that people are making morality not universal, not like that. It's actually subjective. It's not objective, where there's a standard. It's subjective, where it's different for everybody. Morality, right? What's good and what's bad. But if we're seeing a moral decline, that means the person who's just acknowledging that acknowledges that there is what's a good and a bad, a standard and a lacking of meeting that standard. Right. Now, if there is a good and a bad, there must be some kind of law that like details and outlines what is good and what is bad. And if there is bad, what is the punishment? If there is good, what are the rewards? And for there to be a moral law that details good and bad, that details punishment and reward, there must be an intelligent mind behind that. It doesn't just evolve or happen like that. There's an intelligent mind behind that, and that mind is God. Okay, so really, the moral decline happens because of moral subjectivity, and moral subjectivity is the attempt at removing and erasing God from existence. Okay, that is what I think is happening, is that when people go morally subjective, you can't tell me what to do is right and wrong. You can't tell me how to live and all that. Like that to me is the removal of God. Now, this is different. Moral subjectivity is different from freedom to worship God. Okay, because we're talking on two different planes here. God sees all of it as rebellion, right? But in a lawmaking process, moral subjectivity and faith, freedom of liberty of faith, those are two different. So please don't even like go into the comment section. I understand that those are two different things. Anyway, let me know what you think about these topics, right? We talked about three things, right? The difference between Hinduism and Christianity on the image of God, the importance of the president keeping and ensuring religious liberty, and three, whose role is it to maintain or maybe rekindle a faith or moral revival? Anyway, if you like this type of content, my name is Aaron. Thanks for watching this far into the video. Comment down below, because I'll be getting right to that, pretty much all of the comments out here, hopefully, unless this goes viral again, whatever. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Check out the Jordan Peterson one on the screen somewhere here.